Yo, what's good, YouTube? Finna to the Halloween horror stories animated. I know it's November, but hey, man, it is what it is. You feel me? So, what I'm thinking is this video about like 35 minutes. So, like, I'm probably gonna react to 3 of them, and then I'm gonna post the other 3 later on in another video. But yeah, let's let y'all know what we finna get into, cause there's 6 of these hoes. But yeah, hey, make sure y'all leave a like, subscribe, and yeah, let's hop in 3, 2, 1.
Last Halloween, my best friend Lucas and I went trick-or-treating with our mutual friend Michael.
Batman,
We were
Robin,
in Michael's
and
neighborhood
Dracula.
because his family was rich and lived in a wealthy neighborhood with big fancy houses. It was awesome for about half an hour, as every single house was giving out king-size pieces of candy. But then a huge storm rolled in and
Those
cut
be
the
the
night
best
short.
houses.
We ran back to Michael's house to take shelter. Michael's parents weren't home and they weren't coming back soon either, because that storm was crazy. The wind was howling and the windows were being battered by heavy rain. There was a flash of lightning and a loud
smooth
boom
little
of thunder
animation.
every few seconds. It was nice for a while, but as it raged on, it got annoying. So we went to the quietest part of the house. Michael's parents had a small private movie theater, so he put on something scary. There were no windows and the walls were soundproofed, but we could still hear the storm quietly howling and thundering in the background. About 20 minutes into the movie, Michael got up and paused the projector. He said he changed his mind about it because it wasn't scary. Then he went to grab something better. He came back with a Ouija board,
Oh, nah.
bragging about how it was a
Oh,
centuries-old
hell
family
nah.
heirloom and not just a Hasbro game. Lucas and I didn't believe him, of course.
You will
even though
never
the
catch no
board did
black
look
person
gold.
playing with no Ouija board.
It looked like it was cut against the grain
That shit
from a
crazy as
single
hell.
wall,
Niggas don't
as
play
the
with that
rings of the
shit,
tree
bro.
were all visible. According to Michael, the planchette was carved from the same tree, and the lens was made of crystal, not just glass. We were interested in messing with it, so we sat down on the floor of the theater, underneath
Why
the
isn't it like he got
projector screen.
titties?
The lights were at their dimmest level, and the storm
Yeah, they
could
did
still
wrong
be
the
heard
animation.
thrashing the walls of the house. It seemed like the perfect environment to communicate with ghosts, being sealed off from the outside world. The 3 of us each put our hands on the planchette,
perfect
and Michael was
environment.
the first to ask if there were any spirits with us. Then, the planchette began to move. It was so slow it was almost unnoticeable. The lens traveled to the top left corner of the board. To yes.
Well, got the fuck about it.
We all giggled.
Then and there.
Each of us assumed
Hell
somebody
no,
was
they
moving
look
on
creepy.
purpose.
Whoa, bro, they look
Next,
creepy as hell.
Michael
bro.
asked the spirit to prove they were
They
real
all look
in
like some
way.
serial killers.
The planchette moved again, much faster than the first time, down to the number 3. Michael laughed, mocking the spirit, saying that it was true there were 3 of us, but that didn't prove anything. Then, the planchette slid to the number 2, held there for a moment, then slid to the number 1. A second later, the projector suddenly started playing the movie again. We all jumped and took our hands
Hell
away from the
nah.
board.
Oh,
I
don't be
accused Michael
scared
of
now.
secretly using the remote, but he pointed to where he
Don't
had
be
been
scared
sitting and
now,
the remote was on the
nah.
armrest. All 3 of us were freaked out, but Michael looked the
Shit, I
most
done
scared.
that shit.
He kept mumbling that something was in his
the one
house
who
while we
brought this
stared at the
shit
projector
out.
screen.
It be
Dumbfounded
them
that the
niggas,
movie was
too.
playing on its own. As we watched, a shadow slowly began to obscure the projection, emerging
watch
from
your
the
mask.
bottom and rising to the middle and looming over us. It was the shape of a head, as if someone was standing in front of the projector. We all turned around at the same time and looked up to the top of the theater, but nobody was there. Suddenly, Michael lost it. He marched up to the projector and ripped out the power cord. Then he came back down, took the Ouija board and the planchette, then stormed out of the
Bro,
theater.
it's too late.
Lucas and
Oh,
I
he's
followed
gone.
him to the front
He's
door
gone.
where he walked out in the pouring rain. We watched from the shelter of the porch as he threw the board in the garbage bin by the curb.
Should have burnt
He
that
came
shit.
back soaking wet,
Nah, he's done,
blowing
bro.
past us into the house. We didn't follow him as he went to his bedroom
Bro,
to change,
hell nah.
cursing up a storm and a mix of anger and fear. Lucas and I retreated to the game room, where I absent-mindedly racked up the billiard balls to distract ourselves with a game. We never ended up taking any shots. Michael returned
just
from
went
his
back
room and joined us a minute
like
later.
shit
or so,
normal now.
starting to calm down.
Like shit ain't just
We
happening.
were all deeply concerned, but we didn't know what to say. In the silence between us, We all noticed something at the same time. The game room is where the only entrance to the theater was, and the door was wide open. There was noise coming from inside, and we all recognized it. The movie was playing again. Together, we slowly made our way into the darkness of the theater, walking down the small hall beside the seats. At the end of the path, we turned the corner, and there, sitting in the first seat in front of us, was an old woman.
Now, real quick. Nigga like me, if I'm in this situation, if I'm dumb enough to even get to this point, I'm taking a knife. Shit, if I got it on me, I'm taking the switch and I'm airing that hoe out. Cause you're not finna catch me in my own house. I'm not dying in my own crib. That will never happen. Like, boy, hell nah, these kids wildin'.
In a nightgown. She was drenched, with water still dripping from her hair as she turned her head and looked at us, smiling with an ancient, sagging face. We all ran out of the theater screaming. Michael shut the door and barricaded it with the foosball table. We went around the house together and turned on every single light. Then Michael's parents got home. We told them there was someone in the theater. They went to investigate, but nobody was there anymore. However, the seat she was sitting in was still damp. That wasn't enough proof for Michael's parents, and they scolded him for throwing
Why his mom looks so stressed?
But when his dad went out to get it from the garbage, it was gone. He went looking for it and found it back in the game closet where it belonged.
You really
Michael's
cursed your
parents
whole
thought we were
family
messing with
crib.
them, but we know we saw something that night. We don't tell people about it because we don't want to sound crazy. But since then, Michael says he hasn't stepped foot in the theater, as he believes it's now haunted by the spirit of his great-great-great-grandmother, the original owner of the Ouija board, and the person we saw in the theater that night.
Bro, first of all, before we get into the next story, let my kids be dumb enough to have their friends or to bring a Ouija board in their damn self and curse my home. Now my home filled with demons. Boy, I'm moving out for one. And not a single one of them coming with me. It just is what it is. Them not my kids no more. But we finna hop into the second video. Second animation. Let's get it.
My name is August. In my first year of college, I hit a huge stroke of luck when a girl I just met invited me to a Halloween party at her house that night. I didn't know many people at the time, so I randomly forced myself to talk to her one day, and it worked. Her name was Emily. She lived in a house with 3 other girls that was a short walk from my dorm. I didn't have a costume, so after studying, I rode my bike down the road and bought a Bigfoot suit. I got home and changed. Then I started walking to Emily's house. I didn't want to ride my bike there because I was worried about the fake fur of the costume getting caught in the chain.
To wear this?
Plus, I was a little worried about it getting stolen. On the way
to a party with the host?
I saw a ton of people out on the street. A lot of them were wearing costumes too.
Hey, if it works, it works. You know what I'm saying?
But I heard a few people point me out to their friends and laugh. I didn't mind.
You ain't clown,
I actually kind of liked it. I must have looked quite funny sauntering through the streets alone like a real-life Bigfoot. I had a mask on, so nobody knew who I was, which made me feel a little more confident. About halfway there, I was approached by a man who was much older than your average college student.
Ooh.
And he appeared to be homeless.
Oh, nah.
He had a tattered brown jacket on and a large backpack stuffed to its breaking point. I expected him to ask for money, but then he introduced himself as Jason. I told him my name just to be nice.
Your real name?
But that opened up a conversation I really didn't want.
Ooh, look at his lips.
I was vague about it and said that I was just going to a party. But the guy kept pressing me for information about my night, like where the party was at and if there were going to be girls there.
Bro, what?
I gave him no information. hoping to end the conversation as quickly as
You gonna
possible.
ruin that whole
I
shit.
eventually just got fed up and tried walking past him, but he grabbed my shoulder and laughed, saying we should just go together as friends. I told him to leave me alone at that point.
You don't
Then I
unhand me,
walked off
nigga. What
quickly.
the fuck?
I didn't want some dirty hobo at my first college party.
Should smack
By
that
the
nigga in
time
his
I arrived
face.
at Emily's house, I had gotten sick of marinating in the moisture of my own breath, so I ditched the mask. One of Emily's roommates answered the door. They let me in after I said Emily invited me. The party was still coming together,
get checked in.
so only a few other people were there. I felt a little awkward. I didn't know any of these people besides a 10-minute conversation with Emily. Thankfully, everyone was really nice, and after a little
That's
while,
how it be, bro.
I felt very
Be
well.
awkward at first.
I talked with Emily mostly, which was nice. At some point, she asked if I invited anyone else. I didn't want to reveal that I had no friends, so I just said I invited a friend but they couldn't make it. Then I changed the subject. Later on, more people arrived, and the party kicked off for real.
Okay.
It wasn't a big party by general college standards, but it felt massive to me. I got tipsy to cope with how overwhelming it all felt, joining in with everyone else. Everyone was in a costume, making it feel even more surreal. I floated around for a while, trying to make new friends. It was going well, but while I was talking to someone, I saw something over their shoulder that freaked me out. There was a person walking by in a full Jason Voorhees costume.
This nigga finna ruin
The name of the
this shit,
hobo I
bro.
talked to instantly popped into my head. Jason. I lost track of the conversation
How the fuck he find a
couldn't
party?
actually
Unless he
be
followed his ass.
until the person I was talking to got my attention again. I apologized for zoning out, and I forgot about it as we kept talking. A while later, I was talking with Emily again. She mentioned that my friend had actually just made it to the party. I was confused, so I asked her to explain. She said she heard from the roommate that opened the door for me that they let someone in who gave them my name. I panicked. I looked around the entire house, but I couldn't find him. Just as I started to calm down, a girl screamed from one of the bedrooms. Everyone stopped their conversations. The music paused, and a crowd of people
Bro, y'all
descended
better
upon
jump
the
in,
door.
bro.
But it was locked. Nobody could get
Nigga,
through.
break
A
the
man
door
was
down.
also shouting inside aggressively, leading us to assume the worst.
All y'all niggas in here.
Suddenly, the biggest guy at the
Right,
party
thank you,
opened the door.
nigga. What the fuck?
Everyone was ready to swarm and subdue an assaulter, but there was a pause when we saw the reality. There was costume pieces all over the floor, and a woman was covering herself with sheets on the bed as a stark naked man stood with his back to her. He faced the person in the Jason Voorhees costume who was threatening them with a large knife.
Yo, get that nigga.
The next moment was a blur.
Hell
of
yeah.
bodies.
Hell yeah,
Several
jump that
men
nigga.
rushed in
Yo.
and tackled the attacker, subduing and disarming him.
Thank
The
you.
mask was ripped off,
Some competent ass
and
niggas
I saw
in
the
this
face of the man I
animation,
talked to
bro.
on the street, Jason. The worst part is what he screamed as he was held down.
You told me I could kill him, August! You told me I could kill him, August!
That's what he kept saying directly to me before the cops
Nigga, I don't know you.
came. My world burned before my eyes.
No. I know
All the
everybody looking
people
at
I became
him.
friends with now looked at me like a snake.
What the fuck,
monster.
bro?
After using my name to get in, Jason snuck into one of the girls' closets. That girl ended up taking a guy into her bedroom to sleep with him, only for Jason to attack them. If he had surprised her while she was alone, who knows what might have happened. He must have followed me to the house, then got into costume to live out his twisted murder fantasy. He went to jail, but
Why'd you tell this
unfortunately,
nigga your fucking
despite
name,
proof
bro?
that I had nothing to do with Jason's actions, none of the people at the party ever trusted me enough after that night to accept me being around them.
First of all, we got but two, you got to switch colleges at that point, bro. Cause now you can't go to no parties. You can't make no damn friends now. Don't nobody fuck with you. Like, damn, like that nigga really just hold your whole existence, nigga. Like, what the fuck? Like, damn. All cause you want to be nice to some homeless weirdo, nigga. Like, come on now, bro. You should have known the nigga was weird when he fucking stopped you when you try to get out the conversation. What the fuck, bro? And don't ever give no random stranger your real name. Come on now. Especially if they seem like a fucking creep. Or shit in general, because you don't even know. Like, you don't even know niggas for real. But like, damn. Hey, that's tough. Can't be me, though. pretty sure this is gonna be the third animation. Then we're gonna wrap it up.
I never understood the hype about Halloween. I think dressing up in costumes is lame, and I don't find candy to be appealing. I stopped trick-or-treating when I was about 8. One year, in my sophomore year,
You lame, nigga.
I thought I was getting a slightly nicer Halloween, as my parents were going to a Halloween party with my mom's coworkers. They said they would be out late, and gave me 5 bags of candy to give out. Of course,
Jig.
I
You
didn't
look like a
plan on
jig.
giving out candy. As soon as they left, I got the salad bowl and taped a note to it that said "Ring doorbell if empty." That way it would appear like I had been giving it out, but I figured I'd only have to go outside 3 or 4 times. With that taken care of, I took my Xbox out of my room and set it up on the living room TV. Then I played the night away doing squads on Fortnite with my friends. Every couple rounds, the doorbell rang.
I remember them days.
Then at the end of the game, I'd step out for a
Niggas
moment to
playing my
refill
old
the bowl.
squad, bro.
The system worked perfectly. By midnight, everything had quieted down, so I switched off the porch light. Only partiers would still be out, not trick-or-treaters, and I knew my parents wouldn't be home for another hour, so I played on. Then, the doorbell rang again. I wondered why there would be anyone out still trick-or-treating and why they would try a house with no porch light.
Nigga, ignore that shit.
I figured they would give up and leave, so I ignored it. When the round was over, I remembered that the doorbell had rang, so I got up and opened the door. I was surprised to see that it wasn't children on the front porch, but 3 grown adults wearing creepy clown masks. The one in the middle said, "Trick or treat," in a sinister voice.
He's
I almost stepped back to get the last bag of candy, but then I saw there was still a couple of handfuls in the bowl. I pointed this out, and they responded by saying that wasn't what they were looking for. When I asked what they wanted, they said they either wanted my dad, the trick, or my mom, the treat. I was confused and stupidly blurted out that they weren't home. I immediately knew I had made a huge mistake,
Dumbass.
which was confirmed when the same clown said to the other clowns that I was all alone. I panicked, slamming the door shut and locking it.
Right.
My mind started to race, trying to figure out what just happened and what I should do.
Yo, get a knife
I
or
had
some
revealed
shit,
to all
nigga.
3 of them that I was home alone, at just 15 years old. Plus, the living room curtains were wide open, and I didn't know if all the windows were locked. They must have been watching me at least since they rang the doorbell. Or maybe they were watching me all night, learning my routine. I held back on calling the cops just then, though. However, I told my friends I had to go.
Wait,
I
what?
closed the curtains and took my Xbox back to my bedroom. I couldn't be distracted by it.
You didn't call the
I only
cops
had about an
after
hour to
3
go before my
big-ass
parents got
niggas
home, but they
came
could
to
be
your
back
door?
at any moment. I sat up in the living room with the TV on low volume for a few minutes. I couldn't tell
This
if I
nigga
was hearing
serious?
things or not, but I kept hearing what I thought were footsteps around the outside of the house. Things were tense for a while, but I eventually heard a car pulling into the driveway and saw headlights through the curtains. Finally, my parents were home, and I was safe. So
Did
I
you
slipped
check?
into my bedroom and went to bed, making it look like I had gone to sleep on time. After a long night of gaming, I was pretty tired and dozed off quickly. I was half asleep when I heard footsteps coming down the hallway. I figured it was my mom or dad coming to
They're
check
not
on me,
his parents,
so I didn't
bro.
worry. The door clicked and opened.
There's probably more
But instead
niggas
of
that
closing
showed
after a
up.
few seconds, it opened even wider. I saw the silhouette of a grown adult in the doorway, but there was something off about their head. I mumbled hello to no response. Concerned, I rolled over and grabbed my phone, then shined a light at the door. I then screamed as I saw a man with a clown mask in my bedroom. They stared at me as the other 2 terrifying clowns walked up behind him. I screamed at them to leave me alone, but they didn't leave. Then, the faint sound of another car pulling into the driveway alerted them. I thought they would start to flee, but then the man in the middle said to me, "It looks like your parents are home. Your mom is a treat, isn't she?" After he said this, the other 2 walked away and he walked toward me. I jumped out of bed and went to my window to try to escape through it, but the man grabbed me. I kicked and clawed
Bro,
at him
come
and
on,
managed
bro.
to rip
Yeah.
off his mask.
Oh yeah.
He
Oh,
was
yeah,
startled
go
for a
ahead, nigga.
moment when his face was exposed, giving me just enough time to pull up the window and jump out. I ran around the side of the house to my parents' car just as they were
They don't
parking and
bitch up, they
started
fight
banging
back,
on the
nigga, you know what I'm
door.
saying?
My mom opened the door for me to jump in. I begged them to leave, telling them there are intruders in the house. Then my dad reversed out the driveway and sped down the road. My mom called the police as we circled the block for a while, never taking the risk of stopping. When police arrived, the clowns were gone. Apparently, they had picked the lock to the back door after I went to bed thinking it was my parents that pulled in the driveway. Luckily, my parents arrived just in time. It's a miracle I managed to escape and warn them before they had to face those men. I don't want to think about what terrible things they had in mind. Since that night, we haven't heard anything from the intruders again. We still live in the house, but we take more precautions now,
I would've
especially
moved.
when answering the door for strangers. This experience has given me even more hatred for Halloween.
Nigga, you just lame as hell, first of all. But nah, bro, if you a little kid and you at home by yourself and it's how like you passing out candy and shit, my nigga, like if it's late as hell, like, if it's like past 10, nigga, don't open that fucking door. What? Don't open that door, nigga. And if you do open the door, one, you dumb as hell. Two, if it's 3 big ass niggas with clown costumes on, clown masks on, and the candy bowl still filled, how dumb are you, my nigga? And you gonna say you home alone? Yo, this kid, bro, like, let this have been a black kid. For one, Kenny wouldn't even been at the door. To keep it above with you, Kenny would not have even been at the door, twin. I'm not gonna lie. A nigga like me, I would have been eating the candy my damn self. I'm not gonna cap. Hey, the porch lights would have been off. I would have been eating the candy. All doors locked. I would have been in my room on my game whole night. And that's if I was a nigga who didn't even go out on Halloween. Cause if it was really me, I would have been out. But this nigga lame. So shit. It what it is, man. But I hope y'all enjoyed the video. I hope y'all enjoyed the animations. Y'all let me know which video was y'all favorite. And like I said, I'm gonna react to the other 3 that they got in another video. I'm gonna post it later. But yeah, hope y'all enjoyed the video. Leave a like, subscribe, and yeah, y'all boys stay safe. Peace.